Annyeong, it's Mikey here. Guys, today I'm so excited to finally bring you the video on the Wooting 80 HE. Now, I delayed this video by 1 week. So the reason being, everyone was already posting a review about it. I didn't want to just make it a normal, regular review video that I do normally, which is like teardown. It's all going to be part of this video for sure, but I didn't want to just make it so simple like that. Especially because that would be the same as everyone else. So I thought best to delay it and deliver you guys what I think of the Wooting HE. So today's going to be a teardown, unboxing, modding of the board, and also featuring the Gateron Max switches. So Jade Max. Now, I'm going to be doing it with the Wuque Studio Dash, which is a recolor of the Jades. It's going to be with the Lekker V2, 60, 45, as well as the Jade Pro and the new Jade Max switches. And I'm going to be doing with the Black Knight as well. So for those that are watching this video, and I know this intro is getting a bit long, but I want to make sure that you guys understand that it's going to be part one, like halfway through the first video is going to be just unboxing and doing like software and all that kind of reviews. Then it's going to go into all the different switches. So I'm not going to be offended if you guys want to just skip to that back part. That's fine. So I just want to give you guys the idea now of what this video is going to look like. So I hope you guys enjoy. Please make sure to like, subscribe, and let's get straight into this video. So let's start off unboxing the Wooting 80 HE. Now this, guys, I've been so excited to receive this. I got it earlier, and I know that like everyone else was already doing a review. I delayed my video, but let's get right into it. So I was considering actually ordering this case. This is so beautiful. I'm so glad that they use this nice cardboard and then put it in a nice carry case with all these different accessories. So if we look inside, we can see that it has the different pads, so you can have different angles. It has a switch puller, keycap puller that's coming with extra switches. You also get 145, though mine did come with a pack of 45. As you can see, I got extra switches with my order because I did do the order the day of release. Now, we can also see that they're going to come with some extra keycaps, so you can change it up however you feel like you need it. And of course, it's the Wooting. On the software, you can make different changes and of course change different keys to different ones. Now, it also gives you screws, so you can actually, if you lose any, you can have those extra screws. And we're going to take a look to see what else comes inside the box, which is a really nice cable. Now, this cable is also able to do USB-C, so it gives you an adapter on the edge. It is a really nice cable. Honestly, I'm really glad that Wooting makes good cables with their keyboards. Now, you get a little postcard, which is the typical Wooting postcard. I just appreciate it. It's really nice. And now we're going into the actual Wooting 80 HE keyboard. So it does say here, it gives you a little warning label showing you how you put your switches in. So which way is the right way, which is the wrong way. It's just good to know. But this, guys, is a beautiful keyboard. Like, I think the zinc alloy, I think maybe I should have gotten the white, but I like the black. It's just clean. It's just easier to do different keycaps for, I feel personally. I think it's super nice. But let's do a little weigh before we go into a full sound test. So this weighs about 1.9 kilos. So of course, now that we're done with the sound test, let's do a teardown, see what's inside, see how they built it, and take a full look of this board. And of course, afterwards, I'm actually going to do a little bit of modifications as well, not a ton though. So as you can see, there's going to be a total of 5 screws on the top that you're going to have to remove, and then 2 on the bottom. So that's going to be a total of 7 screws that need to be removed to be able to get this keyboard open. So now that we're actually getting it fully opened, which I did have a little bit of trouble just because there's a latch, but once you get it out, you're good to go. So once we get it fully open, we can actually get a nice look inside. So this, as you can see, has the LED strip where the light's going to come up on the top gasket. So it is a gasket mount, which is really nice. It is actually quite hefty, even though it's a little bit thin. It is really built nice and sturdy. I really like how it feels. Honestly, the texture kind of feels like a Monsgeek M1V3, but as you can see here, we're going to remove the cable and then we're going to see. So this is really cool. I love how they actually did this interesting thing where it shows you all the components of the back of the PCB. Like, I actually want to keep it on there just because I think it's a really interesting history of, you know, seeing what they did and all the parts that make this what it is. Like, Wooting really understands that the people that are getting this keyboard are interested to see these things. Or not everyone, but there are definitely a lot of people that do. And interestingly enough, they didn't actually do a foam in between the PCB and the plate. Instead, they actually just used silicone. So if you remember my last video, which was the Lubed Hall Effect board, the name I know was a bit off, but they also use silicone, and this is what Wooting did as well. I'm actually curious if they ever would do something else instead of a silicone, or maybe sell something else, but that's what they did. And then they provided a nice foam on the bottom. I do appreciate that their foams are pretty good. Like when I had the 60 HE, the stock foam, very, very good. But I do see that there's like a bunch of signatures on the bottom plate as well. I'm interested to see like what's gonna happen. As you can see though, and from the sound test as well, the stabilizers are just not good. I mean, it ticks so much. You heard the ticking. The sound tests were not great because of the ticking sounds just overwhelming the sound test. So what we're gonna do is take apart this keyboard fully and actually replace these stabilizers. I really did not like it, and that's why I actually pre-ordered stabilizers beforehand to replace it, because I honestly didn't expect that they would fix it. So after we remove all the keycaps that are holding the ones with the stabilizers in, we're gonna now take it apart, and I'm actually gonna show you guys kind of like what stabilizers I used, what I replaced it with. And this is one thing I also enjoy, right? It's like the nice feel of like when you're removing the PCB from the plate. It works really well. You get all the switches all at once because these are Hall Effect switches, and it just makes your life easier when you're having to do this. So what stabilizer did I get? I actually got the TX almost perfect stabilizers, and I'm going to be lubing them with the XBT-BDZ and some Crytox 205G0. Now, this is how I do it, and I'm actually going to replace every single stabilizer. So I got their screw-in ones. It's 1.6 millimeter. I really love their stabilizers. It's a little pricey because they're about like $25. If you include shipping, probably more like 30 something. But I do love their stabilizers. It's actually almost perfect. Like, I wouldn't say it's perfect, but it's almost perfect, which goes with the name. Now what I do is I will lube the inside of the stabilizer housing, right? So the sides, I'm gonna lube that up with Crytox. I'm also gonna lube the stems as well. So you can see here, just on the side, just do a light amount on the sides, and then also in between. So I put the lube in there where the actual wire is gonna go through. Now I put them all together, and then I use the BDZ one on the actual wires. So that's what I prefer to do, because I know it's thick, and you guys might be thinking like, well, why is that like so white? It is thick. It's on the thick side, which I do like because I think it really reduces the rattling sounds that come through from the metal. So as you can see here, I have like a different brush for it. It's one I dedicated for it. Sorry, it comes out blurry. Sometimes my camera just doesn't focus. I know I'm using an iPhone for most of it, so just to the wires where it's going to be connecting, like pretty much only the connecting portions of the wires from the stem and the housing of the stabilizer. You do that up, and then you put it all together, and you're good to go. So this one comes with its own screws. So I'm just going to use the screws that came with the TX stabilizers. And then we're going to put it all together and see how it sounds with the regular Lekker switches that comes with. Mine were the 60s. I'm also just going to do a full sound test of everything. Of course, later down in the videos, you'll see. So we'll put it all together now with the silicone. Make sure everything's back. Make sure you push in all the switches as well when you're doing this, like, really well. Of course, when you use the screws afterwards, it's going to get everything in perfectly, but just make sure everything's properly in. You can double check on the back as you see the prongs actually come through. So I definitely think I fixed the stabilizers. They sound so much better. But one thing I'd love to do is also fix the hollow sound that comes from the spacebar. Now I'm going to add a little bit of the sound dampener into the spacebar just because it will help reduce a lot of that hollowy sound. So now on to actually modding this board. Now, I was considering, do I do a tape mod on this or not? I could, but I actually really enjoy this back sticker that they put on there, which shows you like all the components and stuff that they use. I didn't want to actually hide away any of the things that was already on there. Like, to me, this kind of meant something special, even though like I'm not going to see it much. When I do open it up time to time, at least then I could see it. So instead what I'm going to do is actually use sound dampener and just put that on the bottom of the board instead, and we'll see if that really helps a lot. I mean, I think with all the modifications I did with like the stabilizers and doing this, we will see how it sounds. And I'm going to be doing all these switch testings with modifications in, so not without modifications, but with all the modifications completely done. So now that everything's in, we're just going to put it all back together. I really do enjoy that back part of the Wooting. So we're going to put it back together, and then I'm going to give you guys more information about what's coming up next in this video. So we're putting it all back together now, and what's coming up next right now is going to be just my review of the 80 HE. So we'll do a review before we go into the sound test. So the Wooting 80 HE, like, it's a hollow fit board with rapid trigger 8K. It's an amazing board. Honestly, I think it sounded really, really great stock. This one's right now running the 60 V2 switches, the Lekker 60, and I think it sounds amazing. Like, let me give you guys just kind of a sound test now after the mods. Very, very basic sound test. Like, I have to admit, Wooting did a great job with this. Like, yes, the stabilizers sucked. I'm gonna be honest with you, the stabilizers were horrible. It made a lot of tinging noises. It, like, even though it came pre-lubed, like, it just did not work well. Like, I had to change this up, use the TX, as you guys saw, and it made a huge difference. Like, it feels great, it sounds great. The stock, I just wish Wooting did do a better job with their stabilizers. Like, you know, I'm spending $500 on a keyboard. I would hope that it just sounds a lot better, you know. Like, these almost perfect stabilizers are just so good. I would recommend, highly recommend replacing them. I know that there was a Korean YouTuber that was saying that he wasn't sure if a custom stabilizer would fit. As you guys can see, it does. It does fit, and it works well. Sounds so much better. And a little shout out to Nunjengi, iJoker, because he was the one that was doing it, and I was watching his video on it. But yes, the stabilizers can be changed out, and I loved it. Now, in terms of this keyboard itself, guys, so it has 8K, it's rapid trigger, it sounds amazing, feels good, stabilizers suck. Other than that, I think in general, I've been in love with this keyboard. I mean, I don't know if I should have gotten a different color. I'm kind of regretting the black, but it looks so clean. and I just love how it feels. Like, it feels really, really great. And I really do want to show you guys a little bit more of like the in-depth software and such in the gameplay. But this whole layout though, they say it's like supposed to be a TKL, their own version. It's more of a 75%, but I'm really loving it. With all these accessories, like as you guys see here, you can change up the angles. Now, this is a really great idea. Like, a lot of the aluminum keyboards you get are going to be very stuck in terms of what you're able to change in terms of angle and height. Wooting did a really good idea, like being able to have that the silicone rubber to be able to change on the bottom so that you can have different angles. Very, very smart of them, and I wish a lot more companies actually would do this in the future. Like, I would really appreciate more companies actually doing something like this with their keyboards. Just because it's aluminum or metal doesn't mean that you can't. And Wooting literally has shown proven that it's possible. And like, this carrying case, guys, is so beautiful. It's so good. Like, the fact that you can actually carry everything in there, all the accessories, the keyboard, and so much more, it has so much room, is top notch. I mean, I don't know if I will actually carry my Wooting around, but if I ever had to, that would be amazing. And yeah, guys, this is great. I mean, I'm gonna have to go into more depth, so let's go right into the software so I can give you guys more of an idea of this keyboard, and you will see and have a much better idea, especially with gameplay as well. Now, as soon as you open up the Wutility app on your desktop, if you download the app, it's actually gonna ask you which one would you like to use. You'll have to go with the Wutility V5. It's only web right now. I'm sure that Wooting is going to get it fully updated into the Wutility software for your desktop, but you have to go into the actual website for now. It's the v5.wutility.io. So once you go in, you now actually have a lot more features. So you can actually, it's very dedicated for the 80 HE right now. You're going to be able to have different profiles, though you can't set them up in terms of numbers on your board yet, which is unfortunate. But it is an update that's coming soon, so it is cool though. You can see there though, visual feedback. I brought this up when I did my Akko video with their software, how it had visual feedback. I really wanted Wooting to have this feature, and they actually now do. So this is really cool to see. I'm very, very glad to see actual visual feedback. Now, you can be confused why it says 0.5. I actually was doing the software portion after while I was doing tests with my keyboard, and one of the things was that I had the Lekker 45s in there, and then the rest of the keyboard was 60s. So it actually was saying that the actuation point was different, and it seems that the keyboard's actually reading into it and trying to see what the proper actuation point to be as accurate as possible. Now that, I think, is a really, really, really good feature. Like, it's actually able to, not fully accurate. I can't say how accurate this is. I don't have the tools to be able to tell, but I can see though with my eyes that it's actually seeing the differences, especially because one's a lighter spring, and I'm assuming, this is me assuming, guys, I don't know if I'm 100% correct, but it is trying to see what would be the best way to be more precise. Now, this is my settings that I have. When you go to Rapid Trigger, I had a setting for my Apex, because I'm going to go into showing us how it works in Apex, but again, Wooting's software is just top notch. Like, there is no other software that I can think of that can beat this, and they're really dedicated to making sure that you get the best software. Like, the new light indicator, I'm still a little bit confused on trying to set it up properly. I'm gonna be honest, like, it's a bit confusing, but I'm just keeping it as is, which is showing you the actuation points, and whenever you're pressing a key, it will light up. But as you see here, you have all these different features with the remapping tool, and you have different functions that you can set up. Wooting really wants you to customize this keyboard. Like, that's why you're paying a premium, right? It's the fact that you get this customization. They have the Rappy Snappy, it works well. I still can't learn how to do braking properly. I'm really sorry. I wanted to do footage with like me trying to learn it with Valorant and stuff. Unfortunately, I'm just so bad at the game. Like, I'm just really horrible. But testing it here with like the Snappy Tappy, the SOCD, Rappy Snappy, Wooting really is dedicated. Like, you have to admit it and give them props, because they made this into their keyboards, even a 60 HE, which has been out for a while, right? They did that as soon as like Razer had set up their own thing, I have to admit that Wooting really, really cares, and it's amazing. Like, I love this keyboard, and I think Wooting really deserves the props in terms of their dedication to making something that's good. Um, of course, there's always flaws, right? There's gonna be flaws for things, and there's things that are good. But like as you can see here, like I set up my spacebar like that for my Wooting 60 because I wanted an easier way to do super gliding. In a way, this is like a cheating way to do it, guys. So if you look at how I set it up, you can copy it yourself on a 60 HE, not a problem. I don't do that anymore because with the 80, I actually found it so much easier to actually just do super glides, and I'll show you in game of that. So let me go straight into an actual game. And also one thing that I showed earlier very shortly was the tachyon mode. Make sure to have that on if you really do want the 8K. It's going to be in the quick settings. Just make sure you have that turned on. So let's go straight into Apex Legends. Now, some people say, oh, a keyboard isn't going to give you that huge competitive advantage. Like, there is not a big necessity for it. It's not wrong, but there is something that people shouldn't understand, is that for a gaming keyboard in terms of FPS gaming, like CSGO, Apex Legends, Valorant, things like that, just the actuation and response time is what makes the key difference in terms of competitive advantage. This is, of course, only going to work, and it's only going to be effective when everyone's playing level is the same, right? So if you're all at the same gaming level, you all have the same skill set, this is what makes that small difference, right? Like, I found that using the Wooting 80 HE gave me a bit of a competitive advantage. Like, me opening up boxes, me picking up items, me super gliding, me making small movements like tap strafing, things like that. You can see, just made it so much easier. Yes, there's much more things to understand. There's going to be mouse related, keyboard related features that you just have to figure out. And I love the Wooting HE for that. Like, this has been a great experience using it. As someone that is a Apex Legends player, I love this keyboard and the fact that it does allow me to do these things much easier, right? It gives me that ease of mind of how to do it, and it just makes the muscle memory much quicker. So, as you see here, my super gliding is not the most amazing, but let me show you guys also just in game how it makes a difference. So as you can see there, just the smooth movement for me to get inside there and then quickly grab the rope and get onto that floor. The keyboard allowed me to do that much quicker. I mean, of course, there's a lot more, skill difference involved. Of course, I'm not going to understand, and I have to do, right? So it's not perfect, but it works well, right? Like, it lets me open up boxes much quicker. It lets me react much faster. Like, it just is a really nice experience, and I felt that when I was playing games and ranked, right? I'm only in gold right now, but it just worked out really well.
도와줄게 친구야. 올라갔어. 나 몰랐는데. 뭐야 이거 씨발. 팀이야? 게임 못 하겠다 이거. 어허. 뭐 순간 이동해가지고.
So now that I'm done with the actual gaming portion and the review of the ADHD, which I think the keyboard's amazing for gaming specifically, I'm going to actually now give you guys sound tests and sound comparisons with all these switches, the popular ones. So Raw, Black Knight, it's going to be the Dash, which is a recolor of the Jade. I just don't want to make it look exactly the same as the Jade Pro, so we're going to be using the Dash instead, and we're using the new Gateron Max switches. So I'll give you guys a review all of those switches and even a stem mobile test comparing each one compared to the Lekker 60 and even the 45. So let's get right into the stem test. Now, this is the Lekker 60 V2. So you see there's some wobble on the top, and of course, once it's pressed down as well, has some wobble. This has been fixed a lot more compared to the V1s, but V2's much better. Still, there is some wobble. Now, this is the 45 V2. Same thing, you still get some wobble horizontally, less vertically though. And then once you press it down, sorry for the camera shake, guys. Trying to do a close-up, but yeah, and then on the bottom as well, you're gonna get some stem wobble as well. It does have some stem wobble on the bottom. It's not horrible, it's better than before, but there is still some stem wobble. Now we're moving on to the Wuque Studio Dash. Again, this is a recolor of the Jades. I'm doing this so you can get more of a clear look compared to the Jade Pros. Now this one has less on the top than the Lekkers. Like, as you can see, Lekkers have a lot more on the top compared to the Dash. But when you press it down, it is very similar. I have to say it's quite similar. It's a little bit less horizontally, but there's still some shake. Like, it's still going to have some stem wobble. Like, the Lekkers just have more than the others, but it's definitely gotten better. But yeah, I would say the Dash has less compared to the Lekkers. Now, this is the Jade Pro. This is one of the newer Gateron switches. Definitely has a lot less stem wobble. Like, even on the bottom, it's actually gotten much better. I think it even compared to the Wuque Studio Dash, which is recolor of Jades, it's actually a lot better. Like, I'm really trying to get it to move, but I mean, the Dashes were really good. Like, I have to admit, like, the Jades before too had a lot less stem wobble. The Pros, I think, are quite similar, but still a little bit better. Now let's move on to the Geon Raw HE. Now, this is a winner for a lot of people. A lot of people love this switch. I think it's a good switch too, but the sound profile, I'm just not too sure. But the stem wobble on this one is actually a lot less. Like, vertically, I think a little bit more, but in terms of horizontally, it's a lot less. And I think they did a great job. The Black Knights, of course, though, like on the top, you have, as you can see, like, it wobbles, but when it goes all the way down and pressed, you get like no wobble. It's a box stem, and it's very expected that a box stem's not going to have that much wobble. Now this, guys, is the newest Gateron Jade Max. Now this is something people are super excited for. This is an expensive switch, I'm going to have to admit though. It's a very expensive switch. The wobble is actually quite similar. I'm going to be honest. I think it has a much more horizontal stem wobble than the Pros do. But let me give you guys a little bit more in depth. So going in more depth review, this is, of course, all the popular switches that I'm doing for the Wooting 80. We have, like, from the Lekker 60, 45, the Wuque Studio Dash, Gateron Jade Pro, the Geon Raw HE, the Moyu Black Knight, and the Gateron Max switches. Now, let me give you guys just a side-by-side sound comparison for each one, just each key. So, as you guys can see, those are the different comparisons for each one. Now, I want to show you guys one issue I've noticed with the Gateron Max switches. The fact is, it doesn't work well with the keycaps. It gets stuck with the keycaps inside the switch, and it's incredibly hard to take off. Like, I think this was a really poor design in terms of Gateron side with how they made the switch. It was the same case with my 60 HE as well, where, yeah, it was just really hard. I actually almost punctured a hole in my finger while trying to get it out before. This is not a good design. In terms of the sound, though, I would have to admit that it is a good sound. And I actually have this tool, so I'm going to try to see if we can measure the actual distance, see if we can get it right. So we're going to set at 15, which is perfect. We're going to get it right there, and then we're going to fully see the distance of this switch. So it's about a 3.5 because we set it actually at 15.1 to 11.6, so we're looking at about a 3.5 millimeter distance. Now, my opinion on this Gateron Jade Max switches is that it does sound decent. I think even the stock sounds pretty good, but if you were thinking that was going to be like a really thocky switch, I don't think that's the case. I actually find that the Lekker switches are even deeper sounding compared to the rest of all the other switches. So this is something that I would keep in mind for yourselves. I personally am probably going to go with the 45s. I actually find that the 60s and 45 also sound different. I think the 45s have a little bit of a higher pitch than the 60s do, and the 60s I find are a bit heavy. I do like the lighter feel of the 45s, but I mean, I'm going to have to keep testing. It's going to be really difficult to say. The Raws are good, Jade Pros are good. I would say if I had to choose three, it'd be the Lekker 45, Jade Pro, and the Geon Raw. Like, those are the three top I would probably choose. The Max, only because it's just not so good in terms of the keycap thing. And I plan to change out my keycaps, and I'm going to be doing a lot more tests, so it'll be a pain to actually remove. So let me know down below in the comments what was your actual favorite switch and what you think you're going to go with your AD. But that's just my opinion. Again, everyone's opinion is different. This comes down to your own personal desire and what you like. So choose wisely, and I think you guys will enjoy this keyboard. So what do you guys think of my Wooting 80 HE video? And what was your favorite switch, the sound and everything? Please let me know down in the comments. Now, I'm going to need to change the keycaps for this keyboard because I want to make it a little bit different. Just the black on black. It's clean, it's nice, but it's boring. And again, I knew that Wooting was not going to be fixing the stabilizers amazingly. I actually did expect that the stabilizer would kind of suck. That's just my honest opinion. It's just the stabilizers in the 60 weren't great, and even in the 80, which it was so rattly. So I did switch them out, and yeah, I mean, let me know down below in the comments, like, what keycap design should I go with. I'm thinking maybe I'll use the like what was it? Like just like the brown beige colorish scheme that I had for my Zoom 65 V3, and then move that onto here, which is the Wuque Studio keycap set. But I also have another keycap set that I'm considering, so maybe I'll do a video on that in terms of what I think could work with this keyboard. But I thank you guys so much for watching this video and just supporting this channel. And make sure to check the other videos out. And I promise to you guys, the 60 will also have a sound test with the Gateron Jade Maxes. It's coming this Saturday. I don't want to just do the 80. Of course, I'm going to also do the 60 for you guys. So I'll catch you guys next time, and thank you again.